Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Darian Jones. I'm the Caregiver Education and Digital Specialist here at Care Partners. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, so we have a very special guest today. Celeste Harris is joining us from the Houston Area Parkinson Society. She's going to be telling us about some general information, how HAPS can help Houston Area Parkinson Society, and then she's going to talk about some more just about Parkinson's Awareness Month in general and how you guys can get involved. There's a lot of things going around on social media and things. So I'm sure she'll talk more about that. Welcome, Celeste.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So I guess we'll start with, can you tell us a little about yourself and the Houston Area Parkinson Society?
Sure. So I am Director of Social Services with Houston Area Parkinson Society. I've held that role for about 2 years, but I've actually been with HAPS since 2005. I was an intern from the University of Houston Graduate College of Social Work, and then started full-time as a social worker in 2006. So this is I consider myself a Parkinson's disease social worker. This is the place where I've made my career in the community that I'm so proud and love to be a part of.
That's awesome. And so can you tell us, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started with your different topics. So can you tell us about Parkinson's disease just in general?
Yeah, so Parkinson's disease is a neurological disorder. Neurological, of course, meaning that it starts in the brain. Parkinson's disease begins from a lack of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and dopamine is something that we've probably heard of. It's the feel-good chemical. If you take a bite of something delicious, that feeling is dopamine. You get a hug, that feeling is dopamine. But dopamine also helps manage our muscle groups. It helps control movement. And so Parkinson's disease results from a lack of dopamine. The four main characteristics of Parkinson's disease are bradykinesia, which is slow movement, tremor, typically at rest, postural instability, postural instability or balance issues, and rigidity or rigid muscles. So those four issues are typically what bring people to their physician. Sometimes we hear people who say things like, well, I thought it was, my tennis elbow and that's why my shoulder was so stiff, or I wasn't swinging my arms when I walk. So I went to an orthopedist to figure things out. Maybe when I sit at a table, not when I'm eating, but when I'm just sitting there, my hand shakes for a reason I don't understand. And eventually they're routed to a neurologist, a doctor who can then give them a good diagnosis, a clinical diagnosis. So there's not any definitive testing that can be done to identify Parkinson's disease, but a qualified neurologist would be able to provide that diagnosis to someone.
So how does Parkinson's develop then? Or is it or people just predisposed to it, or how does it kind of come about?
That is, the $54,000 question. Science is still trying to figure some of that out. We know that there are some folks who have genetic predispositions to this, genetic components that play a role. For most people, it's probably a mix of environmental factors. We know that people who are exposed to pesticides or well water have a higher incidence. We know that people who have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, or who have sleep disorders in their adulthood, are more likely to be diagnosed. We also know that the age of diagnosis is typically over 60. And then there are a few folks, a handful of percentages that are diagnosed under 40. But I know people who are diagnosed at 90. And people who are diagnosed at 50 who are a little outside the mold in different ways. So it really can affect people in different walks of life at different times of life.
And so the Houston Area Parkinson Society, so you're a nonprofit here, and you guys have a lot of resources. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys can help?
Yeah, absolutely. So HAPS has been around since 1974. We started off like a lot of nonprofits do in someone's living room. Folks who gathered together to try and connect and support each other through engagement and exercise. Over the last 40 plus years, we have grown to be an organization that provides services to a large population. We cover an 8-county region, which includes Houston. So we have groups from Katy to Baytown, from Conroe to Galveston, and most points in between. So we do exercise groups run by licensed physical and occupational therapists, dance instructors, Tai Chi instructors, yoga instructors, art instructors. We do monthly support groups. My executive director, Kathleen Christ, and myself run support groups throughout the greater Houston area, some general support groups. So that would be for individuals with Parkinson's disease and their support systems, spouses, siblings, adult children. Some that are dedicated to certain populations, caregivers or patients, those who are newly diagnosed. We do educational programs throughout the year, bringing in local physicians to talk about the issues that are important to people with Parkinson's disease, things that are groundbreaking, things that are coming down the pipeline. And then we do advocacy work as well, partnering with some of the national organizations. But most importantly, what we probably do is connect people to each other, connect with people. We exist so that no one has to deal with a Parkinson's disease diagnosis alone.
That's wonderful. One of the big things at Care Partners too, it's all about the connection. We just want to show people that there are resources and that you're not alone. And I guess that brings us to Parkinson's Awareness Month. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, so backtracking just a second, Parkinson's disease was first described in 1817 by a British physician, James Parkinson. That's where the name comes from. His birthday is in April 11th. And so we recognize April as Parkinson's Awareness Month. This year, both Mayor Sylvester Turner in the city of Houston and Governor Abbott in the state of Texas signed proclamations declaring April as Parkinson's Awareness Month, which is really great. And April 11th, tomorrow, is World Parkinson's Day. Typically, we would celebrate and recognize that month in a big gathering. Unfortunately, social distancing is helping us, or fortunately, I should say, social distancing is helping us troubleshoot around that. And so we can't meet in person, but we will be together while apart through Zoom meetings, which we're doing this month as well. But tomorrow, gathering together to celebrate and recognize the community that we're a part of, the Parkinson's disease community. Throughout Parkinson's Awareness Month, we have been sharing individual stories on our social media outlets, highlighting clients and board members and staff and their journeys and what makes them happy or proud to be a part of the Parkinson's community.
That's wonderful. And I know with everything going on with COVID, it's kind of limiting what we can do together in person, but it's still so important to connect. And whether we do that online or however else we want to do that, it's still so important. Are there any tips or advice you would have for people who may have Parkinson's or family members who have Parkinson's who are stuck at home right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one thing that I would encourage people to do is to reach out. Reach out to us at at HAPS, reach out to friends, reach out to family members, to not be afraid to ask for assistance, and to not be afraid to say, I just want to chat. I think it's also really important that people maintain in these extraordinary times as much of a routine as they can, taking medication on time, making sure to stay hydrated, making sure to eat as much healthy food as possible. Although I know we've all been dipping into those midnight chips and midnight popcorns, probably a little bit more than we normally would, but just maintaining that connection. And then for someone with Parkinson's, especially, exercise, getting moving, not staying stiff. That can be hard to do in the rainy weather that we're experiencing these days, or as it starts to heat up a little bit. But engaging in a lot of the online courses that HAPS and other entities are offering, using soup cans as weights, using your chair as a sit and be fit tool. Our doctor of physical therapy, Maggie Abbott, our director of outreach, had a great series on exercising with a ball. If you don't have a ball, her troubleshooting for that was a towel and a pillowcase, which was ingenious. So using the tools that you have at your disposal as we're practicing, stay at home, work at home, to stay motivated, to stay moving, and to stay engaged.
That's very good advice. I think it's really interesting or kind of fun to see the different creative ways that people are staying entertained. And like you mentioned, that even if you don't have a workout ball or weights, there are so many creative solutions that you can do with soup cans or just books or anything that you can find around the house.
Absolutely.
And then I guess if there's just any other advice you have for caregivers or any other last thoughts on Parkinson's Awareness Month?
Yeah, I would encourage people to be kind to themselves. I think we've all seen circulating online or in newspapers, how are we all going to use our time when we're at home? And I know that my days both feel incredibly long, but also incredibly short. I'm not perhaps engaging in as much self-care as I would encourage other people to do. And that's definitely a goal for myself as well. But I would not put a lot of pressure on anyone to start big projects. And if you do start a big project and lose steam, that's okay too. Be kind to yourself, be kind to the people in your household, give yourself a little leeway as you make it through each day. This social distancing, the situation with COVID-19 is absolutely extraordinary. None of us could have been prepared for what we're actually facing, how we're actually living right now. And so giving yourself the freedom to give yourself a little grace is definitely what I would encourage for caregivers in this time. For Parkinson's Awareness Month, I would love for folks to engage with us via phone or email or on our social media outlets. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Just to see what we offer and to provide a little bit of support and encouragement to our community.
That's what I'm working on too, what you were talking about with the taking some pressure off yourself and just letting yourself know that it's okay if not every single thing gets done. Just kind of learning this new normal life.
Absolutely.
Being okay with things and letting it go. That's one of the things that we've been working on too. Well, thank you so much, Celeste, for joining us today and sharing all of this great information. I have their website address up on the screen right now. So be sure to check them out on their website and on all their social medias. Like she said, they have some really great resources. They're uploading things every single day.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for joining us. We are Care Partners. We are a nonprofit in Houston and in Waco. We've had to suspend all of our in-person programming, but we do have a lot of updates on our website as well. We're offering an in-home gathering place activity packet on our website. You can download that It has some coloring activities, song activities, exercise activities that you can do together. And we're also offering the Common Ground teleconference support group on the phone twice a week. You can find more information about that on our website as well. So we'll take a break with these hot topic live segments for the weekend, but we'll be back on Monday with some more great content. If you guys want to share all of your fun activities that you've been doing at home, or just share some of your stories, or reach out, Care Partners, you can email this email address, info@carepartnerstexas.org. We'd love to see what you guys are up to, or just if there's anything that you'd want to see from us on social media, please just let us know. And then I think that's everything I have right now. Thank you guys again so much for joining us, and happy Good Friday, and have a great Easter weekend. We'll see you next time.